Imagine disappearing 4 hours, days, and coming back with no memory of anything, except for fragments of something that simply shouldn't exist. Today, you're going to hear real stories of people who vanished without a trace and returned claiming the impossible. And before you think you've seen something like this before, I need to warn you, these cases weren't solved by the police, weren't explained by science, and to this day defy any logic. So tell me, what if it were you? What if you suddenly woke up in a place you didn't recognize, with no clues, no marks, but with the unmistakable feeling that someone, or something, had been there with you? If you're the kind of person who gets chills hearing paranormal accounts, who can't stop wondering what might exist beyond what we can understand, this video is going to take you right to that point where fear blends with fascination. Here, you'll discover details ignored by official investigations, hear testimonies that completely changed the victims' lives, and maybe even see the unknown from a perspective no one has dared to show you before. Watch until the end, because some answers only appear to those who are truly willing to face the inexplicable. Our first story begins on an isolated road used by locals to cut through to small rural towns. It was late afternoon when a woman was driving home from work. The route was always peaceful, but that day she never made it back. Her car was found on the shoulder, headlights on, and the driver's door slightly open. 4 hours, search teams scoured the area with no sign of a fall, escape, or accident. She had simply vanished into thin air. It wasn't until the next morning that a truck driver found the woman walking down the middle of the highway, disoriented, barefoot, her clothes damp, and with no memory of where she had been. Strangely, her watch was 3 hours behind, even though she had been missing for over 12. The only thing she could describe was a metallic, distant, rhythmic sound, as if something behind her was breathing. Investigators tried to retrace her path, but there were no footprints, no signs of struggle, no tire tracks, nothing indicating she had left the road. One detail, however, stood out. The woman's pant legs were covered in a thin layer of dark dust, something that didn't exist anywhere in the region's soil. She recalled flashes of a cold, windowless place where she couldn't tell the ceiling from the floor. Everything seemed grey and far away, and the only constant was the sensation of being watched. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't explain how she reappeared or how she walked back to the highway, because she had no memory of moving at all. Police closed the case as confusion and stress, but the victim herself swore the place she had been taken to did not belong to this world. The second case happened in a mountain range known for scenic trails and stunning sunrises. A young woman who often hiked there disappeared on a calm morning. She sent a photo of the sunrise to a friend and vanished minutes later. Search teams were mobilized that same morning. Drones, search dogs, trained rescue groups. Nothing. No tracks leaving the trail. No sign of a fall or animal attack. It was as if she had been lifted away. Hours later, at the exact spot where the last photo was taken, she reappeared sitting on the ground, trembling, covered in a thin white dust no expert could identify. Her eyes were blank, and she muttered incoherent phrases about white rooms and voices without bodies. When she regained partial clarity, she described waking up in a completely white environment, illuminated by a light with no source. There were no doors, no shadows, nothing resembling a structure. The silence was so absolute she could hear her own breathing echo. Then came the voices, not loud, not deep, but speaking directly inside her head, as if someone were trying to remind her of something she had never lived. The voices repeated short phrases with no meaning, and then stopped. In the next moment, she blinked, and she was back on the trail, surrounded by helicopters and search teams. Police classified it as a dissociative episode, but no expert could explain how she returned to the precise disappearance point without being seen by anyone. The third story is perhaps the most disturbing. A middle-aged man disappeared while walking from his house to the barn on his property. a distance of only a few meters. Halfway there, according to the family, they heard a sharp sound, like a loud crack. Then, silence. When they went to check, he was gone. Search teams combed kilometers around the farm for 2 days. Nothing. On the third day, at sunrise, the man was spotted in an open field nearly 8 kilometers away. He was dehydrated, with deep scratches on his arms and back, repeating that the light turned everything inside out. When questioned, he explained he had seen an intense light appear in front of him, so strong it seemed to bend the air. He felt weightless, as if floating. His account continued. Within the light, there was a long, motionless figure staring at him without blinking. He tried to run, but every step felt like slow motion, as if gravity itself had changed. He didn't know how long he remained there. He believed minutes, yet 2 full days had passed. The marks on his body didn't match any known animal, and there were no footprints or tracks around him, as if he had been placed there out of nowhere. Investigators dismissed kidnapping due to lack of evidence, but the man insisted he wasn't taken by someone, but by something he couldn't describe in human words. When we look at the 3 stories side by side, something unsettling emerges. All victims report time distortion, shapeless environments, abnormal physical sensations, and the certainty that they were not alone. The cases share no geographic or social connection, yet the elements are nearly identical, like scattered pieces of the same puzzle. In all of them, one thing defies logic. People disappear for long periods, return with fragmented memories, and show physical signs inconsistent with the places where they're found. Science tries to explain it with stress, exhaustion, or imagination, but none of those explanations hold when analyzing each detail. Something operates behind these disappearances, something outside human reach. The real question is, are these cases just frightening coincidences, or are we dealing with an unidentified phenomenon? The similarities between the reports suggest a larger pattern, something acting silently, selectively, and beyond comprehension. Perhaps an undiscovered natural phenomenon, perhaps an interference beyond our perception, or, to some, the visits from non-human intelligence. There are no final answers, but there are clues strong enough to say these stories shouldn't be ignored. Every detail, the lights, the lost time, the lack of footprints, points to a world that hides secrets far beyond logic. And the deeper we look, the more we realize how little we understand reality. Now imagine how many people disappear every day and never return to tell what they saw. Imagine how many cases remain buried in incomplete reports, dismissed as mental lapses or labeled as hysteria due to lack of explanation. And what if these 3 stories are just a tiny fraction of something much bigger happening for decades, maybe centuries? The idea that something is watching, choosing, and returning certain people without explanation is disturbing, but impossible to ignore. Maybe what truly scares us isn't the unknown itself, but the fact that it seems to act without our awareness, as if we are being studied, tested, or simply observed from a distance. If any of these stories got under your skin, tell me in the comments which one keeps echoing in your mind. I want to know which detail unsettled you the most. And if you want more videos like this, where investigation and terror blend to reveal what lies beyond human understanding, you know what to do. Stay with me on this journey into the unknown, because some answers never appear to those afraid to look, but you're here, and that already says a lot about how willing you are to confront the inexplicable.